yet another exciting episode right here on Mwelekeo TV. My good name is Tony Nyakoko, and as always, feel free to interact with us on our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. It's Mwelekeo Insights, and on YouTube and TikTok, it's Mwelekeo TV. Keep the conversation happening. Tumewaona sana. We've been watching na tumeona some of the reactions, and you are engaging with us in ways that you can tell best. Welcome to another exciting episode. At Mwelekeo Insights, we are known for our economic, governance, political, and policy research. But today's discussion is a reminder that numbers alone don't tell the whole story. Behind every statistic about jobs, inflation, or governance is a human being navigating family, culture, and personal choices. That's why our work also dives into social issues like relationships, values, and generational attitudes. These are not side topics. They shape the very fabric of Kenya's future. One such area is marriage. For decades, marriage was seen as a milestone every adult had to achieve, and often early. But our latest study shows that many young women in Nairobi are rethinking what marriage means. Some see it important, but on their own terms. Others delay it. And some are even open to alternatives like polygamy if it brings financial security. And to help me dissect this, I'm joined by two amazing ladies from our very own Mwelekeo Insights. One is from the communication department and the other is from the research department. Karibu sana Frida.
Thank you so much.
Ukoaje?
Nafurahi sana to be seated here and to discuss actually issues that matter. Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
I'm also joined by Sheila Karaoke. Karibu sana Sheila.
Thank you so much.
How does it feel to be on set today?
I'm honored to be here to discuss about issues that actually are in real time. Current issues happening.
They are current issues.
Yeah.
Now, marriage and relationships, these are very pertinent issues. And a lot of people, especially for researchers, always shy away from talking about them. But as Mwelekeo Insights, you've gone to the ground, umefanya uchunguzi, umefanya research on these very issues, na umekuja with very interesting findings. But on a personal level, I just want to know, why was it important for Mwelekeo to study something as personal as marriage? Unajua ndoa ni kitu very personal. And number two, Sheila will help me answer this. I'd love to hear your views on why conversations like this matter to Kenyans, because Kenyans have been known to be very secretive, but in real sense, you went all out and decided to do a research on this. Let's begin with you, Frida.
It's actually an issue that I've had a lot of people discuss around and wonder, why is it that Mwelekeo is only talking about marriage? We are not only talking about marriage, but at Mwelekeo Insights, we believe that social issues are inseparable from economic and political issues. So you cannot go ahead to talk about political issues and economic issues without talking about social issues. And this is actually why we tend to want to discuss it and delve into it and want to make people know about it. Yeah, and understanding young women's attitude helps us to predict future trends in population, family support system, and even consumer behavior of products. Yes. And marriage shapes household structures, it shapes fertility rates, and even women's perceptions in the workforce. Yes.
Now, Sheila, why do conversations like this really matter to Kenyans?
Okay, thank you. So if I'm to add on to what Frida has just said, I'll start by giving an example to bring context into what we're talking about. So if many young women marry early, it changes everything from housing demand to parenting norms. So when we're talking about housing demand, it's simply because when two people come together, the first thing they'll sort out is shelter for themselves. So that is the perspective, that is what housing demand means. And for the parenting norms, these are guidelines that parents use to raise their children. We have like cultural influences, we have education, which is a basic need for kids. We have discipline norms, and when we're talking about discipline, these are the values that parents instill so that we raise kids who have values that are acceptable to the society. Yeah. So as Mwelekeo, that is, as Mwelekeo Insights, that is the unique approach we use. So we don't separate social issues from policy, governance to economics, because they are interrelated and they influence each other.
Yeah,
So-
you know, Tony, if we end up talking about, I mean, if we only studied economics without these social issues, the social shifts, the social paradigms, we'd miss half the story. We'd be addressing one issue but missing out on the other bit of the story. So it is actually pertinent that we actually talk about the social issues at the center of economics and even politics.
Unajua kuna watu wanadhania kwamba about marriage, there's a big difference between marriages and weddings. Sababu mwingine anasema kwamba amefanya harusi na ilhali kwenye ndoa kuna mambo yanaharibika. So it plays a vital role in ensuring that for the development of the country. Now let's talk about your research. You conducted a research on these very issues. If I can get it from you, Frida, what was it all about?
Well, we did a research on marriage perceptions, marriage perceptions among young women. And of course, we had a lot of findings, and we have the figures are clear, and figures don't lie. So I mean, we have one of the findings that we found out is that only 29% see marriage as an essential life goal, while rather the 53% are saying that it's not a priority actually, and 18% were the undecided lot. You know, out of the 100 possible, you need to have at least a percentage that shows that they are indecision in whether to lie on the pro or the non-support. You see, so we have 30% that prefer marrying between age 28 to 30, or rather the 45% are, conforming to marrying at 30 and beyond maybe. 50% feel the societal pressure to marry, and 60% fear marriage could limit personal freedom as a young woman. And 80% prioritize career and financial stability first before anything else. So even before they delve into marriage, they prioritize that they need to be financially stable and prioritize their career growth. Yeah.
It's very alarming to hear that close to 80% prioritize career and financial stability. Kitambo, ulikuwa unapata this was a preservative for the men.
Yes.
Sababu mwanaume ndiye alikuwa anasema mimi kabla sijaolewa, lazima kwanza nikuwe financially stable so that I can accommodate this lady, aweze kupata chakula, aweze kupata nini akiingia kwenye nyumba. But it's very alarming to find that 80% wanasema mimi kwanza want to be financially stable, career progression. Why was it? Mbona ilikuwa hivyo?
Well, feminism and gender equality has taken over in the current times. And of course, you realize that when a woman is exposed and educated, they tend to want to make use of their exposure and their education. And especially within the age bracket of 28 to 30, this is especially the age in which a woman feels like they are torn between career or rather settling down and bringing up a family. Yeah, so 80% was actually saying that they prioritize career at the and financial stability at the expense of settling down for marriage. Yeah.
I was watching before tukuje kwa Sheila. I've seen that 53% say that marriage for them is not a priority.
Yeah.
We're in changing times. Is Kenya on transition? Sababu kitambo ulikuwa unapata because the research was between the ages of
the research was within the age of 18 to 30 years.
18 to 30.
Yes.
Unapata ikifika 27 years ulikuwa unapata mtoto mwanamke ashaanza kusema I need to settle down. What has really changed in that at the age of 18 to 30 some feel that marriage is not a priority for them?
Well, 18 actually is the age that now we cannot do research with underage. So of course 18 is the normally agreed, or rather constitutionally agreed age that we can interview, rather talk about such kind of issues. But now at the age of 24 to 30, that is when a young woman is looking at so many things around them. So 53% actually said that it's not a priority, and they'd rather look at other things instead of looking at marriage. And of course, within the findings still, we have 56% that recognize their views on marriage have changed over time. What someone believed at the age of 18 to 24 is not the same thing that they still want to pursue after the age of 24 to 30 years. So each day, each time, people are changing, and their views are changing equally. What you were yesterday is not what you are today. And so due to the exposure and everything, 56% were out and comfortably said that, the views change over time and we have to move with the times. Well, higher education strongly reduces urgency to marry equally. Time and again, we hear conversations about that. Wasichana ambao wameenda wakasoma mpaka chuo kikuu, they tend to like think about other things and not marriage. So of course it is actually a play and influences the decisions, or rather the change in views over time. Well, people who have gone to higher education, they are quite reclined to marriage. And of course, 59% feel fulfilled even without marriage. Now, there's this particular lot, 59%, that say marriage, I mean, it's not actually a thing to them, and they can still do life without it. Whether or not they are married, they still go ahead to do life. So 59% out of the 100 possible, 59 said that marriage is almost a non-issue to them. And we have at least 51% that support polygamy, provided it will economically transform their lives. This was one of the findings that I saw. Heads were raised and eyebrows were raised. What do you mean? You see? So, of course, this particular lot, 51% out of the 100 possible, were saying that polygamy is not an issue to them as long as they are assured of sustainability. Economically, if it can economically transform their lives, then they're actually ready to settle down in a polygamous marriage. Yeah, and of course, we have lastly 50% that agree the family expectations influence their views on marriage. Families' expectations influence their views on marriage. This is to mean that when someone is seated and they tend to think about what marriage comes with, what is expected of them, their obligation and their investment, and I mean, every other thing around that tends to influence whether or not they want to settle down. So this is the lot that actually thinks about things deeply to decide, is it good, or rather a good decision to settle in marriage right now or not. So it influences their views and actually their conclusions.
Now, Sheila, these are very interesting findings. Now, what does this mean? Ama wewe ilikuwa inakujuza nini kuhusiana na hizi findings ambazo kwa mnapata kwenye ground? What does it mean?
Well, when a young woman says, I want to be stable first, then think about family later, I think that means we are not devaluing the value of marriage. We are just we are encouraging marriage to be a choice and not just by default, because now I'm 32 and now I need to be married. Yes. And so this represents and they reflect conversations on the ground. On the ground.
Yes. So these are just
women in Nairobi.
Women in Nairobi. Oh, yes. So it was conducted in Nairobi.
Yeah.
So so these are just these are just reflections of what people wanataka kwenye ground. Yes. So mtu anasema mimi niko sawa, nikiwa mke wa pili mimi niko sawa, nikiwa mke wa tatu, provided there is financial benefit.
Yes.
Now let's change gears, twende kwenye another very controversial issue. When do women ideally want to marry? Sababu kuna jamii fulani, I was looking, kitambo ulikuwa unapata kwamba even marriage was not a conversation. Wewe ulikuwa unaenda soko, unanyakuliwa, then unaenda unapelekwa kwa mzee wako. But in the current society, when conducting this research, when do women feel this is the ideal age for marriage?
Well, between age 28 to 30, a majority preferred that this is actually the ripe or rather proper timing to get married. Of course, 30% within the 28 to 30 and 45% beyond 30. So, I mean, a good number above 30 said that they'd actually settle once they are past 30. They think they shall have stabilized enough to want to venture into marriage. And very few want to marry before 24. Very few. And of course, there are so many players within that as to why they settle on marrying before 24. Yes.
Some of the reasons mbona walikuwa wanasema by 24 hawataki kuwa wameolewa, lakini from 24 and above ndio wanaweza feel they are very comfortable.
Well, maybe maturity and of course proper exposure. I mean, since we said point of views change over time. So within the age of 24 to 28 to 30, what you believed in 24 is not what you are believing in at 28, and what you believe at 28 is not what you will be believing in 30 years. So of course, within age 24, a very few portion said that they want to venture into marriage, but a huge number was inclined within 28 to 30, and of course another portion agreed that maybe 30 and beyond is when they'd want to get married.
Sheila, when do women ideally want to marry? You nataka kuolewa mkiwa at which age?
There's no, I'd say from the research that what women are communicating is, don't give me a number of age. Let me first build my foundation, then add a roof. Roof is the career, building up on my career, because their early 20s are seen as years of self-discovery, exploration. Those are the years when umetoka shule, you've just gotten your first job. So for your first job, you want to explore, exposure, yes, and not indulge in marriage immediately. Yes.
Comparing it to the past years, wakati bado labda enzi za kina mama zenyu, do you think anything has changed Ukiangalia society ya leo na ya kitambo.
Yes, Kenya is on transition. Not only Kenya, but the country is in transition. A lot of things are happening. Times are changing. Beliefs are changing. We are now fixing beliefs that work for us. Those that do not work for us, we are dropping them. So indeed, whatever worked for our parents is not what would work for me right now. Yeah.
Now let's take it to real life scenario. Sababu hizi ni facts ambazo tulipata kwenye ground, but kuna the issue of real life scenario. Yani sasa hii ukweli tunaongelelea. Beyond the numbers, what do these attitudes sound like in real life? How does this sound like?
Well, so many women described early marriage as a trap. Ini mtego kabisa. Getting into marriage as early as this type, that is a trap we are getting into, that you're not gonna, and it's gonna limit you in so many things that you're thinking of, especially for the young ambitious women that are seeing themselves in a better place years to come. So they felt like if someone talks to them about marriage at this time, it is quite a trap. It's a trap that is being set up for them. And of course, others shared stories of being pressured by family despite not feeling ready. Some young women are not ready about it, but continually when you may be greeting your visitors, your relatives, they just have to ask when. So you realize this pressure, you'd either succumb or rather stand steady. And of course, the common thread, independence matters more than conforming to timelines. Don't state the time that you would want me or rather a young woman to get married, but rather it has to be a personal choice and decision as to when and with who. So that is quite a reason as young women were saying this is a trap. Ini mtego mnatuambia when you want to talk about marriage every now and again and telling me that age is catching up. Yes.
So kuna wale watu ambao wanasema that societal pressure should not be a thing. Acha mtu decide wakati wake. Mimi nikitaka kuolewa at 21 mimi niko sawa. 27 niko sawa. 31.
Exactly. So long as it's 18 and above, young women tend to feel like it's a personal decision to want to get to settle in marriage or not yet. Yes.
Sheila?
Another real life scenario I'd give is social media, how social media has been used to mirror this. I think it has both positive and negative influence. So if I'm to start with a negative influence, social media has seemed to instill a lot of fear to young women, and that is why the idea of young marriage by this age is slowly fading away, especially among the Gen Z and millennials, because every day we wake up to celebrities, if I may call them, or famous people. This couple has just parted, yet these are the peoples we idolize. We feel like if theirs is working, so can mine. So if some of these things are being portrayed online, I think they are killing even the institution of marriage itself. And that is why many young women right now are saying, let it be by my own rules. Let me first stabilize myself before I indulge in this thing that is so scary, and it's so it's not a beautiful thing as we all think it is or see or being portrayed to as it is.
You've talked about social media, na nimekumbuka there's a couple that tulikuwa tunaangalia sana kwenye social media, mnasema this is the in couple, but a few days ago they broke up. Like broke up, wanasema we just want our life to be private, but you're always showcasing it in public.
It has actually become a menace. You'd think it's an outbreak of marriages not working right now. You'd sleep today, wake up tomorrow. The people you thought theirs was working is actually they are parting ways, and they're giving us statements on social media. Then you're wondering if they looked that beautiful together and they looked well put together, but it has not worked for reasons well known by them. Then what about me? You see? So even social media plays a major role as to why we tend to believe then marriage is not a thing as at now. Focus on yourself, build yourself, and by the time you're settling down, if it does not work, then you are better off. You are somewhere, you have a stepping stone to step on.
Now this research mesema it was mainly based in Nairobi. Now what happens to the other parts of the country? Is it the same trend? Is it the same phenomenon? Ama kule mashinani watu wanasema mimi niko sawa kuolewa at any time?
Well, of course, exposure, that's why we settled on Nairobi centrally. It's the kind of exposure. This is the capital, and of course urbanization also is at play. So of course Nairobian women gave a good replication of what a huge number of women in urban areas would be looking at, and of course there is a belief among the mashinani ones also. So of course for the meantime we had settled on Nairobi women perspective on polygamous marriages.
But globally, tuseme Johannesburg, huko Lagos, how is the situation huko?
Well, similar patterns are visible in urban Africa. It's not only in Kenya. We are talking about Lagos. We are talking about Johannesburg. We are talking about any other country, you name it. I mean, the trend is similar. Change is not only happening in Kenya. It's like when the world is on revolving. It's not only we all meet the different sides of the sun. So of course, change is across all the whole world at large. And of course, globally, marriage is increasingly being delayed. Not only in Kenya but globally. Women are tending to delay marriage, and Kenya has a strong, although Kenya has a strong cultural pressure towards marriage, but of course the trends are similar, not only us but also worldwide. Yes.
So from other researches, tuseme from other specific countries, unapata the pattern ambayo iko Kenya is the same pattern that is almost global.
Yeah, it's almost globally, but Kenya, we are kind of culturally rooted and the pressure is still high. We have not moved away from that. So lazima tu you go back to Nyamira, watakuuliza ni sangapi, umepanga aje? And in Luoland they will tell you Sarach. So of course ndo hiyo. Yeah, ndo hiyo.
Sheila.
Yeah, Kenya is unique actually when it comes to culture. And this is what, in the modern times, the modern realities versus traditional expectations. I could give a real-time example. If we compare how men and women traditionally versus now the modern reality, what does a man's day look like in the modern reality? Society, yes, and traditional. Traditionally, men are expected to wake up, fend for their families, protect, love. For women, it's childbearing, nurturing, home caring for your homes. But in modern realities, like a man will should wake up at, let's say 8, let's use an example of the 8 or 9 to 5 kind of schedule. So the routine, sorry. So if a man is to wake up at 8 in the morning and the day ends at 5, so in the morning when a man wakes up, who's supposed to prepare the man? It's the woman. Who's supposed to prepare the breakfast meal for the man? It's the woman. So when you come to the woman's side, women these days are also very active. They're also expected to go out there and fend for themselves. So a woman's day will start also at 8. She has no one to prepare her. You see, and at the end of the month, someone will tell you, like, what do you have? Like, the 50, if we bring the 50-50, what do we call it?
50-50
role play, or rather
the
sharing.
Role play, yes, or sharing. So you see, it's contradicting, and that is why women feel they are being caught between modern realities and traditional family expectations, because what a man can do right now, women are doing it even more. Not better, even
but they're
more.
Actually doing it.
Yeah, she's still expected to wake up, when she comes back home in the evening, her roles are not to be played by someone else. She's still the one playing the roles. And to be continued.
And again, Tony, men and women both have the same number of hours, 24 hours. So as the man has the 24 hours, same as the woman. And of course, in these times, unlike in the past, where our parents used to stay at home, they were solely cut for preparing the house, fending for the family and everything. The men went hunting. In this day and time, women are going to hunt. Women are equally competing with men in the various spaces that were looked masculine dominated.
They're also hunters and gatherers.
Yes, they're also hunters and gatherers. Initially, men used to hunt, but now men are hunting together with women. So, of course, that leaves us at now narrowing down to what the finding actually portrayed, that women feel like marriage, if at all we are getting into marriage and we are both providers, then we have to role play 50-50. Then, of course, we are on the same level ground.
What has really changed? Is it the hard economic times, ama the modernity, ama is it women empowerment, the imeleta all this? Because women mesema what a man can do, a woman can also do it more. So what has changed? Is it modernity? Is it the financial implications? Is it that women empowerment has awoken them?
All these effects that you're mentioning are actually a play on this particular issue. Not only feminism, not only wokeness or exposure, but also economic times. I cannot sit in the house when I know I'm capable of doing something. I'm capable of looking for a few coins for at least provide the little details in the house that are needed, and that I just have to wait for the man. So of course, economic issues and economic constraints are forcing women to go all out and hard enough as men to ensure that they have their families steady. Yes.
Now, to our dear viewers, you can always follow the conversation on all our social media platforms. Now, there's a very interesting finding ambao mlipata kwenye ground. It's about polygamy and financial benefits. And a staggering 51% of women say wako sawa. Mimi hata nikuwe mke wa pili, hata nikuwe mpango wa kando, nimerentiwa nyumba pale Kileleshwa, nimerentiwa nyumba pale Donholm, provided me my financial benefits are being met, then mimi niko sawa. Now, what does this say about marriages today? Is it a shift? Though kitambo palikuwa na polygamy, but in a modern society kuna wanawake wanasema empowerment nini, I want to stand alone, but a staggering 51% of women wanasema mimi niko sawa kukuwa mke wa pili ama hata kukodeshewa nyumba lakini napata pesa.
Well, you realize this is a socio-economic reality and not just a cultural one. And we must talk about it. And now people are now not even shying away from this conversation. A 51% is huge. This is huge. And it means it's actually a reality that people are not ready to face, but it's happening. It's happening and people are doing it. People are settling for the financial support that they are looking at as young women in the society. And this shows that financial security is often outweighing romantic ideals in tough times. People are together, but their romantic relationship is anchored on the provision, the kind of support they are getting from the man or either the woman. It's actually not only women, much as we are talking about this particular research that we did on women, it's actually a trend lately. Discussions are all over on the social media that even young men are settling for women that can actually provide for them. So exactly, anakuweka poa uko safe. Boys, young men are very comfortable and they're saying mimi niko sawa, because they know at the end of the day, if they settle with a young lady their age, then now they'll have to now act like the men in that particular, and they're shying away from such kind of obligations and role. Hawataki shughuli kama hizo. So of course it clearly shows us that financial security is outweighing romantic relationships, and it's anchored on what? On financial support. Yes.
No, Sheila, what does this say about financial implications? Sababu unapata mwanamke anasema mimi nimesukumwa sana kwenye kona. So this marriage institution lazima pia to change the dynamics of it. What does it say?
But you see, when the economy squeezes people, so does some institutions. They automatically have to adjust. Yes.
No, as ladies and from Mwelekeo Insights, do you think if given an opportunity upate a man ambaye kwa karibu to take care of you, nyinyi mtasema sasa acha kwanza nijikuzi, ama for you think it's just wale 51% nyinyi amko kwenye hii hesabu?
Well, it's not in black and white. It's not in black and white, and views change by day. And nitakata hapa leo, and days after you'd find me in such a situation. So of course women are operating like machines, like roller coasters, and what a woman thinks of right now is not what they think of days after. I would say I would say I'd settle for that, but of course the more exposure, the more I feel like I'm sustainable myself. So I do not think why I would settle for polygamous marriage then again. So of course it's not in black and white. It's not linear. The scale is just it's moving by day. Yeah, it's iko hivi na yumba yumba.
Yes.
No, for me, I'd still focus on stabilizing myself so that hata hiyo ingine ikikuja, it's coming as a plus.
Exactly.
Because why not?
Mzee akikuja anakuja tu anapata huko sawa, lakini anakuja kama Let's keep the conversation happening on our social medias. As a lady, would you be okay to be in a polygamous type of marriage? Yani wewe your financial benefits are, unajua mara nyingine wanasema kwamba unaweza kuwa you don't have the capacity, lakini when this man begins to take care of you, what happens next? Sababu unaweza ondoka anytime. Do you invest?
Like you withdraw the resources, what happens to you? You don't have a soft landing.
Amekuweka kile wewe bado you don't have an investment. So what happens next? These are some of the conversation we're having on our social media. We're having a candid conversation on the attitudes of women between the ages of 18 to 30 towards marriage. This is a conversation that was derived from a research that we conducted recently on the attitudes of of attitude of women toward marriages. Great findings from you, Frida, and Mwelekeo Insights. Just give us a sneak preview of your findings.
Well, some of the key findings that we found out while we were doing that particular research, only 29% of women see marriage as an essential life goal. And of course, 53% say that it's not actually a priority. And there's another percentage of 18% that is quite undecided on this particular issue, whether or not marriage is a priority. We have 30% that prefer marrying between the age of 28 to 30, and a 45% beyond 30 years is what they do want to settle for while going into marriage. We have 50% that feel the societal pressure to marry is quite high, and 60% fear marriage could limit their personal freedom and ambitions and what they'd want to venture in as young women. 80% prioritize career and financial stability first before anything else. We have 56% that recognize their views on marriage have changed over time. What they believed in is not what they believe in. And of course, higher education is a player in this particular issue because women that have gone to the level of higher education strongly believe, or rather it reduces their urgency of going into marriage. They want to build up their career and stability before settling in marriage. We have 59% that feel fulfilled even without marriage. 59 out of the 100 possible were saying that, whether or not we settle into marriage, we are stable. It's okay and fine for us. And we had 51% that support polygamy, provided it would economically transform their lives. Whether or not polygamy or no polygamy, I'd want to get into polygamous marriage for reasons of financial and economical support. That is what 51% out of the 100 possible were saying they support polygamous marriages. And of course, 50% agree that family expectations influence their views on marriage. Yes.
Sheila, what does this mean?
Again, this is why Mwelekeo Insights research matters, because now you see we're connecting economy to personal lives. And so this means when the economy squeezes people, social institutions should also adjust. Yes.
So, Manisha, the economic implications will also affect the marriages and the decisions for women to get married or not.
Because I earlier mentioned that social issues are inseparable with political and economic issues. If you want to talk about politics and economy, then you must also talk about what? Social issues. Of course, as other research organizations shy away from addressing such kind of issues. And that's why I'll tell you that as Mwelekeo Insights, we are unique. We've brought this issue that people are actually shying away from, but it's actually a central player in the operations of the modern day world. So of course, we have to talk about these things. We have to talk about culture. We have to talk about social issues that are actually happening.
Because you mentioned politics, na kuna politicians fulani, especially for women and also men, unasikia when you go to campaign unaambiwa wewe tuwezi mchagua sababu hajaoa hajaolewa. So it's an issue, especially even in the political aspect of it.
Everything.
Now let's take it a notch higher. What do these changing attitudes really mean to families and the future of the marriage institution? What does this really mean? Sababu unapata interesting findings you found, but what does this really mean for us as a society? Are people shying away from marriages? Will the society really embrace these new alternatives that young people between the ages of 18 and 30 are beginning to embrace?
Well, this clearly tells you that society needs to redefine success for a woman. A woman, an unmarried woman, is as equal or as successful as a married woman. A mother without child is as equal as a mother with child. So we need to redefine this kind of what we call successful for a woman. A woman can be educated, has masters. They've pursued their degree programs, master's program, and even PhD. But what society will ask her? What have you brought forth? To mean, are you married? Do you have kids? So we need to redefine these things. The dynamics, the trends are changing, times are changing. So society needs to look at this and redefine how they define a successful woman. And of course, let's have less stigma towards delayed marriages, and not only women, actually, even men. The continuous unnecessary question of meeting a young man or a young woman who's trying to find themselves, and then you keep asking them it's quite annoying to find people that are so invested in wanting you to be married or you not to be married. So of course, society has to look at this and redefine. We are moving away from the backwardness and the culture that used to have women, glued onto onto success as being in a marriage and having kids.
So history ya unaenda ushago unaulizwa wewe hujakuja na mtu
wanafanya hata watu wanatoroka family gathering yao hata watu wakuji because now you know the next question this year tena wataniuliza na sasa wewe kwa akili yako umejiambia 5 tena now you are like wataniuliza mara 5 continually. So people are running away from even gathering with their relatives and because they know they will have to be asked about such kind of questions.
Now Sheila, what does this changing times mean for the society today?
It means the society should celebrate women's independence as much as they celebrate marriage. If a woman chooses to live freely and large, it's not a drawback to the society.
So but nauliza unajua mzazi wakati amekupeleka shule amekusomesha na the next thing na nataka kuona wajukuu because it's something that imekuwa hapo tangu kitambo. Na unapata mzazi anataka kuona mjukuu. Wengine hata wanakuambia mzuri mtoto wangu umesoma, but what happens next? Because they put value especially on marriages and children. Do you think this defines how the society is being run?
Certainly you'd rather fulfill their will of wanting you in marriage and see you suffer in that marriage because of maybe financial instability, so many reasons that could arise as you people have come together and even having a family. So you'd rather have such kind of problems bora wao ulisha fulfill their hearts that now she's married. Of course it is an issue. It is a central issue that a parent has to question that, but again timings are different. There are people that marry early and still have the success, and people marry late and still get to catch up with their success. So of course the timings are different. Not that there's a particular age that someone should be married at. You'll still marry early, marry late, but still bado mtafikia kile ambacho mlikuwa mmefikiria in your getting into that marriage. So of course it's just about the matter of timing. People are not do not have a problem with maybe getting married or not, but still it's just an issue about timing. Who has put the level, who has defined the timing that this is the time that people should be married.
It's about the society learning to accept diverse choices in life, and like Frida said hapo mbele, women are not to be celebrated because of weddings. Kuna academic excellence, yes. It's also about through career investments. Yes.
From your research nikapata kuna watu wanasema serikali saidia, serikali ingilieni kati, hii mambo ya mahari, mambo ya ndoa imekuwa ni kizungumkuti. Does the government really care? Why is it important for policy makers to also intervene into this matter?
Well, marriage trends affect fertility, equally affect workforce and housing demands. So of course, now this is where the government policies actually are at play. Because when we talk about fertility, when we talk about workforce, we go ahead to talk about housing demand. It is actually a central issue and a pertinent issue as a government policy implementation. And of course, policies on childcare, education, and housing must adapt to delayed marriages equally. Because ndio kitu ifanyike hivi, it means there's an effect, then action, and an effect. And of course, the effect is not only one direction, but it's in very many directions. Because if delayed marriages, then it means by the time you get to marry and have kids, healthcare, education will still need to be an influence onto the time that utakuwa umeamua to settle down. So of course, government policy is a central issue.
Sheila, why should government and policy makers care about delayed marriages by women between the ages of 18 and 30?
Because if education policies are there for girls, this then reduces early marriages and early pregnancies. If women are empowered to own land, to own property, it also empowers them economically, meaning we are reducing dependency on even men, towards men. Yes.
Now you've talked about early pregnancy in women. It's also an issue, and I think one time we'll conduct a research on that. Does it have any implication when it comes to marriages between the ages of 18 and 30? Does it affect, in your own perspective, by the way, is there anything that needs to be done to ensure that these early pregnancies do not happen for school-going children?
Well, of course, that is now a whole issue of its own. If you begin talking about early pregnancies, and I don't know when you say early, what do you mean early? Early is below 18 or 18 and above?
Yes.
Below 18, that is constitutionally unacceptable. We rebuke that by all terms, and everyone from where they sit at. I mean, early pregnancy, umepachika mtu mimba below 18 years. I mean, you are condemned by law. Unafaa ushikwe na ufungwe. Of course, much as we are all playing the role of speaking to the girl child in schools and institutions, mentoring them against getting into such kind of behaviors early. Also, the government is at play by ensuring that these kids are in school, ensuring they provide the necessary materials and necessary security and safety and proper implementation of the law by ensuring that whoever is found in doing such kind of actions, that is, wanafungwa miaka ngapi ile? I hear people joke about miaka ngapi? 30 years. Yes. Below 18. Yes, and they joke about it, but it's actually a serious issue, and we condemn it by all terms. Yes.
Now let's take it a notch higher about the concerns that are being raised. Now kuna watu wanasema delayed marriages could weaken families. Wanasema kwamba you need to start early. Now delayed marriages could weaken this family institution marriages. What's your take on this?
Well, I disagree. Families are not vanishing. They're not vanishing at all. If anything, they are evolving. And the more mature or the more independence, the stronger the relationship. Assuming from where you sit, you've taken time to know yourself, to master yourself, to get very independent. Your counterpart, a woman on her other end, she's also building herself well enough, learning herself, getting independent and stronger. I mean, by the time you people are coming together, you find that these are two people that are well stable mentally, spiritually, financially. So you realize it even builds stronger partnerships later. And it's not that families are vanishing, but they're just taking time for strength to be built over time. Yes.
Sheila, marriages are being weakened simply because women are saying, sisi ndoa saisi priority. So they feel that the bond and the marriage as an institution is being weakened. What's your take on this?
Like Frida has said, independence doesn't kill family, it enriches it. And if I, as a woman, choose to marry within my own terms, meaning I'm looking after myself mentally, financially, emotionally. So I'm coming into this thing when I'm ready. So that means I'm coming with stability, not just financially, but I'm ready for this thing. Unlike if I come into this institution forced, So I'm bringing a lot to the table because I'm not just bringing financial stability, I'm also coming ready because marriage is not just about love. There's a lot that entails. Yeah. We have communication, we have financial planning, we have the vision together. When I bring all this stability together, I'm bringing a lot on the table. So I'm not, if I come delayed, I've come also with more on the table. Yeah.
There's also the aspect of wanasema, for fertility as women. There's an age bracket, unapata mwanamke, this is the time ako very fertile and very active. Lakini miaka inapoenda kule unapata it becomes a very worrying concern. Does it play any role? Ama risks like loneliness, wewe umefika miaka 30 ujaolewa, so are there risks like loneliness and delayed or declining fertility that comes to play when marriages are delayed?
Well, yes, but Tony, risks are manageable. Risks are manageable, and physicians having proven that fertility maybe declines by age, that is actually a central. It is an issue that has been confirmed by physicians and scientists and all notes.
As a researcher and a communication expert from Mwelekeo Insights, what's your take on this?
I think the bigger risk is coming in unprepared for this thing, because as I mentioned earlier, marriage si pesa peke yake. Lazima ukue mentally stable. Lazima ukue physically stable to even be able to carry that baby to term. There's a lot that marriage carries. Yes. And I think age, yes, it's true that age scientifically has been proven that women at a certain age, the power in the eggs zinashuka, but I think the key thing here is, I think Mungu ndo yupeana watoto, because we've seen people at 45 still getting kids. So I think the most important thing here is go into it stable. For the meaning of stability, kila mtu anajua yake. Yangu ni maybe financial, ya mwingine it's mental, mwingine it's physical. Yes,
and
spiritual.
When they say success means preparedness, it's not only when you're pursuing your ambitions and any other thing. Success to meet preparedness looks like you being prepared from where you are. That is, you have built the financial muscle, you built your intellectual property, you built your everything around you. That is the preparedness. And now where does the success come in? Success comes in that particular marriage that you get to venture into. So success meets preparedness, and it applies across all scopes of life that you can think about. Yeah.
Now, when all is said and done, ukipatiwa an opportunity to speak to leaders, if given an opportunity to speak to Kenyan families, najua kuna masuala fulani ambayo ungependa sana kuzingatia na kuna vitu ambavyo ungewaambia. What are some of these issues that you would raise when given an opportunity to speak to the leaders, to the families, and also to the institutions that are involved in building up a marriage?
Well, even without thinking about it, it's just that let us start having honest conversations. Let us start talking about issues that actually matter, conversations that matter, honestly and transparently and logically. Yeah, and I mean, let us celebrate diversity. Let us celebrate daughters in the various avenues of success. Success is not only one line. Success can be looked at in very many scopes. So I mean, we need to redefine and of course start honest conversations and of course celebrate a lady at their 30 age as you'd celebrate a lady at their 24th age or even at their 45th age. So I mean, let us diversify. Let us move beyond the backwardness and let us look at things with clear eyes. Yes.
Leo nataka kuambia nini gava? Serikali kuna vitu ambavyo ungekuwa an advisor kwa serikali unaambiwa talk to them, give them a word, and also families and churches. Utasema nini?
In regards to women, because women are the topic here, I'd say first of all, the society at large needs to accept and normalize different timelines when it comes to marriage. Like marry at your own comfort, marry at your own mental comfort and stability. And number two, I'd say success can be defined as, I'll add on what Frida has said, success is diverse and people have succeeded in different paths and not just marriage. So see, marriage peke yake, see, it's not the only institution that can bring the best out in you. Yeah, there's a lot that you can engage in and you'll still flourish and still shine. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, umesikia from the ladies themselves. Wamesema kwamba celebrate us. Hata kama mtu ameolewa at age 20, celebrate them. And marriage is not a determinant of success. Wamesema kuna vitu vingi. Mtu akifaulu katika shule, celebrate them. Mtu akifaulu katika ndoa pia, celebrate. Mtu akianzisha biashara pia, celebrate them.
It actually shows daughter, let's celebrate daughters the same way we celebrate sons. Let us show the equality. And I mean, this will bring harmony and the cohesion will be intact in the community.
I think the next conversation we should bring sasa men on board. Tuweze kuongea history yote tusikie hao wanasema nini, because we also did a research on men about marriages na something of the sort. Now, Frida, your parting shot?
Well, all I can say is that times are changing and we need to move with the times. Also employing logic and employing all else that is required to show that indeed we are being fair to the both parties in society. And of course, social issues are central and we should talk about them. Thank you so much.
Sheila, your parting shots?
Mine would be to say to all the women out there and to keep it strong and to keep doing what they are doing for their families and tupatane mbele.
Now, thank you so much for bringing data and life into this discussion. It has been a very candid conversation. Women empowerment, talking about ladies and their perceived realities about marriages, especially for women between the ages of 18 and 30. It's been a candid conversation. You can also interact with us on our social media platforms. By the way, talk to us. What's your take? Do you think ages 18 and 30 is the appropriate age for marriage? Ama, do you think the issue of polygamy is also something that society needs to embrace? Talk to us on our social media platforms. Engage with us. Ndio tuweze kujua wewe unafeel aje, for men, for ladies, ili tuweze kuwa na discussions. And always subscribe for the next episode. Ili zikidrop, you get to know what's happening. My good name is Tony Nyakoko. Let's meet again next week for another candid conversation as we bring data into dialogue. But don't forget to subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's Mwelekeo Insights, and on YouTube, it's Mwelekeo TV.